Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from Arni's. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
This is Alan Karpick with our Arni's Birthday Zoom. And boy, this is a highlight of Bobby Riddell's media career. He's 36 today. He looks like he's 18, which is, you didn't used to like to have people say that. You're going to like that more and more as time goes on. You look older than 18, but Bob, well, happy birthday first and foremost. Welcome to the Arni's Birthday Zoom. And it's a good day, April 27th. The sun is out. You can, and you got a birthday to celebrate.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Appreciate you having me on. And yep, April 27th, definitely a good day. One of my favorites, of course. And yeah, 36 big ones here. And yeah, it's starting to become quite a long time since I was donning the black and gold on the hardwood, unfortunately, but as the years go by. But yep, still obviously fond memories of those times.
All right, tell me about any family traditions, lunch, dinners. If you were in April, I don't know, you played baseball growing up, correct? So you probably were knee deep in that around this time of year. But yep. Tell me about, excuse me, how your family celebrated your birthday and what made it special growing up.
Sure. I mean, certainly growing up, you had, the birthday parties with all your friends at school and all that good stuff. And then as far as when I got a little bit older, my family, nothing crazy from a family tradition standpoint, probably just like a lot of the other people, usually went to a nice restaurant of my choice and, enjoy a good meal with the family. And that's, pretty much the extent, certainly, of the birthday traditions for me. Because as you said, I was usually so involved in sports, what wasn't exactly trying to, go anywhere crazy or anything in particular. So, yeah, I did baseball in the spring when I was in high school. And so, yep. Really just try to enjoy a good meal of my choice, essentially.
All right. So when you were 11 years old, growing up in the Lafayette area, what was that restaurant of choice? And they don't have to be a sponsor of Golden Black. You're good. Don't worry about it. Remember.
Probably, Outback Steakhouse was always a favorite of mine. So we went there a lot. It was my sister's favorite restaurant too. So it was definitely an establishment that we went to quite often.
Yeah, very cool. All right. So in today's world, there's nothing going on in the world of college sports these days. This is absolute normalcy. But let's first go. I mean, obviously, you're the color commentator, analyst on the Purdue Radio Network, and you've. What's that been like here over the last year? Now that you got to travel this year and be kind of a relatively normal situation. Is it as fun as it seems? I mean, you make it that way, and working with Rob and Wes and the gang is a great thing. But is it as fun as you expected it to be?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been just as fun as I was hoping it would be. It's like any sports fan or basketball fan, and certainly one of Purdue that I was growing up, and then obviously getting the chance to play. To be on the radio or to do color commentary, I feel like that's something that a lot of basketball fans always dreamed of kind of doing or seeing how fun it would be, just because it always seemed fun whenever I would listen to Larry and Rob and those other guys on the radio whenever I had the chance. So it's been a blast, and having Rob and Wes there as that support system, walking into that job that I had never done before, had any experience doing, was awesome and really critical, just because I had a good rapport with those guys. Rob's first year on the broadcast team was my freshman year playing for Coach Painter. So he kind of started right when I started with the Purdue program. And then Wes, of course, has been there for a long time, even before Rob or I was there with the program. So I have good relationships with both of those two guys, and was fortunate to have, kept up relationships with them just over the years, coming back for a practice or for an alumni event or things of that nature, been able to see those guys and keep in touch. So having two guys that I knew and had a relationship with definitely made the landing a little softer. And then Rob, of course, was in my exact role for a number of years before he, him and Larry switched up there towards the end. And so he was able to, he'd been in my shoes and was able to kind of give me some softball questions and things like that when I first started. But yeah, for me personally, it's been a blast. Certainly that first year with the COVID situation and us calling so many games remotely was pretty crazy. It was my first year though, so I didn't really know any different.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, all right, along for the ride and trying to do my best. But this second year, now being a little bit more comfortable, I was definitely nervous that first year for sure. So being more comfortable, having the fans, that engagement, it's just so much better doing games like with a full house and being able to feed off of the crowd and things like that. And then Rob's obviously great. So it's been a blast so far getting to do that.
What is the thing that you're trained as an accountant, you're a precise dude, I'm guessing your attention to detail is a big part of your life. What is the thing that you've had to work on most in terms of things, even if it was something you said or something, a phrase you used or whatever, what do you focus on and said, hey, I need to get better at this, or I want to get better at this in terms of your analyst role?
Sure. Yeah. At first, I think it was certainly bringing like energy. And some of that was kind of hard because we were remote, but like Rob's so good.
Yeah.
And just having like that really strong, energetic tone to his voice. And I'm, me trying to match that to some degree, I think was something I was having to work on at first. Trying to not, I had like Robbie Hummel actually really helped me with this because, big credit to him. He, of course, with his TV and radio background and is one of my best friends. So, he went out of his way to listen to some of our broadcasts to try to give me some constructive criticism. And I didn't even know I was doing this, but like every time Rob would say, something to me, I guess I was leading in with, yeah, I would just say, yeah, and then start talking and yeah, and then say this. And, that's something that I didn't even realize I was doing. And so he like pointed out, he's like, maybe cool off with the yes every time you come in.
That is valuable.
Yeah, it was really valuable. So I made a conscious effort, of course, to not do that as much. And he's been really good as far as just giving me, feedback. And it's been great having that. He listened to a couple of games this year and, he's like, man, you guys are getting so much better together. And, and then as far as moving forward, I want to try to continue to like get better with the interview process. This year was the first year I had to interview Coach Painter after games. And so on the road, at the home games, Rob does it. Coach Painter will just be on the headset in the locker room. But on the road games, I have to go down to the locker room and interview Paint. And so like, we won all the non-conference games this year. So it was, much easier to interview Paint, of course, after wins. And then the Ron Harper Jr. shot happens at Rutgers.
Yeah.
And their fans are storming the court. And I had to try to like make my way through the fans and get into the locker room. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, what do I ask Coach Painter after a loss like that in dramatic fashion and not have him like strangle me, in the locker room. So, just trying to like continue to work on that and, make good, concise questions that can, sometimes I think I get a little long-winded with the questions. So that'll be something I continue to try to work on, but, and try to handle, tough losses and things like that and make sure the nice thing is like, I'm sure interviewing Bobby Knight after a tough loss would have probably been tough. Whereas Paint, Coach Painter is just he's so good with the media and the interviews and stuff. So for the most part, he makes that job really easy for me.
Yeah, as Brian Newbert always says from our staff, he said he is the most fortunate, luckiest man in the world to be able to work with a guy that gets media. I've always said that about Matt Painter. He understands the role and he understands. He walks in. He's so cerebrally ahead of the game half the time. He knows what you're there about, and he's pretty. I catch about every one of your things. Because I don't always go to the post game press conference. You do a good job, and he does a great job of always teaching you something. That was another thing. He's trying to bring something to the table, which you do as well. But he always is I wish all coaches were that way because he's excellent from that standpoint. Okay, how do you keep when Jaden Ivey hits that three against Ohio State, which is right in front of you, I believe, almost right in front of the broadcast position?
Perfect line at it.
And I know you're not. I don't know you that well, but I'm guessing you're not a guy that's going to jump over the thing and run out of the court. And I don't think the fans didn't come out of the court. But in terms of just keeping that emotion in check, or is that I mean, that's part of being you can be a homer a little bit with this role, because Jaden hits that shot, you beat Ohio State even after you blew a 19-point lead or whatever, but that was a big deal. I mean, what's that like for you when that moment happens?
Sure. Yeah, it's obviously really exciting, and on the inside I'm going ballistic just because
Yeah.
even though I was a former player, like I was more a diehard Purdue fan than anything, growing up before that. So yeah, I'm going crazy and I'm super stoked inside, of course, when that shot goes in. But I really don't have to, that's really Rob's moment to, shine. And I kind of learned that actually my first year, and Rob and I talked about it, where Jaden hit the shot at Ohio State and we won. And Rob kind of started going off doing his thing, and I kind of couldn't help myself and like tried to chime in a little bit, and probably stepped on Rob's, moment there a little bit. And so, me and Rob talked about it later, and I was like, yeah, I probably should have just held out there. And he was like, yeah, that's something you'll pick up on. And so when Jaden hit that shot, I just kind of sat back and just enjoyed the view and let Rob do his thing. And then once things settle down, then I add my 2 cents in. So, but yeah, those cool game winners, the nice thing for me is I just get to sit back and enjoy the show.
Yeah. Less is all, it can be more sometimes.
Less can be more, for sure.
As you've learned, and you'll continue to learn. All right, Purdue basketball next year, and the roster is going to be, there's talent, certainly, and yet there's still some guys that may be added. God only knows what will happen here in the next period of time. But by the same token, you've got some good guys to really work with. I mean, in terms of, it's going to be exciting with Trey Kaufman-Renn coming in. You've got Caleb First. You've got obviously Zach Keady. All good places to start. What do you see next year as the Boilermakers load up for 2022-23?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, as you pointed out, certainly the foundation is there. Got some really great front court pieces with, Zach Keady being, first and foremost, a guy that as a junior can hopefully continue to raise his level of play and take his game to another level next year and be a dominant force. Kofi Coburn will no longer, be in the conference to battle with them, but we did see the Hunter Dickinson's coming back to Michigan, so there will be a couple bigs still around to bang with Zach, but I think that's certainly a great start where they're at with the front court. And then obviously, you got some young guys coming in, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer in the backcourt that, at the moment look like they got some opportunities there to play.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, 2 scholarships remaining. We'll see what, Coach Painter does. Obviously, Nigel Pack goes to Miami. He was the guy they were targeting heavily. We'll see what else happens with the portal. I certainly presume they're going to get at least one and maybe two guards from the portal to help fill out that guard position, just because, guard play is so important. Guard play wins in March a lot of times. And even though Purdue's really solid right now, probably at the 3 through 5 position, you would think they would still like to add some talent at the 1 and 2 spots. And I'm sure Coach Painter and those guys are active in the portal every day. And so it's hard to really know exactly what the team will look like until those portal additions happen. But I certainly am, love a lot of the guys coming back, Ethan and Brandon, playing that wing position. Both those guys are talented dudes. Brandon, I think, with more opportunity, is going to be able to shine next year. And Ethan's a guy I just love as far as just what he brings to the table. Proved this past year that he can be a knockdown shooter from the perimeter if he's open. And then just, I think defensively has a chance to become, one of those really big time perimeter defenders that Purdue's had over the years, as far as just, continuing to use his length and his size and his great basketball IQ to be a terrific defender. So I think Purdue's in a good spot with a number of pieces, but you got to have some guys that can make plays off the bounce. And I think Braden Smith's going to have a chance to be one of those guys as a true freshman, but you can't just have one. So we'll see if Purdue's able to pick up a couple others, or at least one more guy who can make some plays off the bounce here through the portal. And then you might have a roster that can compete for a Big Ten championship.
Yeah, we're going to see. It's good. They'll be competitive, that's for sure. All right, last question. If I were a name, image, and likeness person, I would have marketed Bobby Bucket, so you'd have had your own line of something back in the day. let's just talk, and this is a topic that you could go on forever, but it is a new world in college sports. It's different than even when you played. With respect to name, image, and likeness and transfer portal, how do you think these young kids of today are going to continue to adjust to this, and how are we all as observers and fans going to adjust to this over time? And you got 20 minutes to give us an answer. No.
Yeah, it's really uncharted waters. Yeah, I'm sure, guys like Tommy Luce and myself, some kind of fan favorite walk on.
He might have made some serious money. Yeah.
Yeah, some KFC buckets of chicken, or Bobby buckets of wings, something like that. Probably couldn't have gone the buckets of beer quite yet.
Yeah, no, you never know.
Can't be touching the alcohol stuff, I don't think, quite yet. But I know it's really interesting to see, how things we saw certainly the start of it last year. Guys like Sasha Stefanovic were able to come up with some deals. Obviously, no, we're not really cognizant of how much money he's making, or what players are making, but then we just have like this Nigel Pack situation where it's just out in the open how much this guy's getting, and it's obviously a massive amount of money. So man, it's really interesting to see where this is going to go as far as the size of the deals. Obviously they're getting extremely large. I mean, I don't know what the NBA league minimum is, but it's probably close to what Nigel Pack's making per year. So I guess it's just going to be, one of those things where supply and demand, and it'll probably, right now it's a hot new topic. So I could easily see it maybe coming back down to earth a little bit. Once some of these companies who are investing in these athletes don't get quite the rate of return that they're expecting out of it. But maybe they'll get great rates of return, and it'll continue to flourish. So it's just going to be something that I think the landscape is really going to have to see how it goes year in and year out. But from a player standpoint, I'm sure you're just going to try to get your name out there, and you'll probably try to reach out to companies and see if your services can be useful. And then obviously hope companies reach out to you as well, so where you can make some really good. I was thinking it was just going to be kind of really good side money, but obviously, depending on the quality of player and the demand, it could be life-changing money as well. So I am really just at a loss for words, honestly, to see where it's gone, because I would not have been anyone who was making the life-changing money as a player, but some of my teammates, maybe a Robbie Hummel, Etuan Moore, Jawan, someone like that, Chris Kramer, maybe someone like that could have made some life-changing money. But I love college basketball, obviously the traditions and the schools and the rivalries and just everything, the fans. I love everything that goes with college basketball. And I just hope that doesn't get taken away. Like Robbie Hummel's always told me, like his playing at Purdue with his friends and for a school and with all of his family and friends watching him, like that was the most fun time he ever had playing basketball. And he played in the NBA. Granted, he didn't play on a great NBA team. If he played on a team that was more successful and made the playoffs and things like that, maybe he would have a different perspective. But as far as just what his experiences were, his time playing for Purdue, where it was playing for passion and school pride and family and friends, was the most fun he ever had. So I just hope that aspect of college basketball doesn't go away by guys making large sums of money. And because once you start getting paid to do it, it becomes a job of sorts, and you're not going to have the same outlook. Granted, I truly think it's awesome that these guys are getting the money. There's plenty of guys who were great in college that didn't end up having great professional careers. And so if they're able to capitalize, like a Tim Tebow, for example, like if he's able to capitalize on a great college career and make money, because he wasn't going to end up making great money at the professional level, that's awesome for him to strike while the iron's hot. So I just hope we don't lose what's so great about college athletics. And I guess we'll just have to take it year by year to see how it unfolds.
All right, your day job is money and accounting. You new job working at Purdue. Tell us a little bit about that as we bring this to a close, and what keeps you busy on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. Yep. Was doing public accounting and some tax work in Lafayette, West Lafayette area the last 5-6 years or so. And then once I got the radio gig, tax season and those long hours that are required as a tax preparer obviously coincide a lot with college basketball season. Certainly the busier part of the Big Ten schedule, and then March Madness and things of that nature. So, after I finished my first season where we called all the games remotely, I realized, okay, next year if we're going to be traveling with the team, it's going to be hard to be the best tax preparer I can be, let alone be a good husband and father to my 3 sons. And all those sorts of things. So that was when, made the decision that I needed to try to find something that had a little bit more of a consistent work schedule throughout the year. And as it turned out, the pandemic ended up being a good thing for me from my new job standpoint, as Purdue Research Foundation is who I'm with now. I'm in their accounting department. Because of the pandemic, they had to transition to a remote working situation there for a while. And then in July 1st, they went to a hybrid work schedule to where you can work remotely or you can work in the office space. And so it worked out great for me because I started in July right after they went hybrid. And then so when we were in Ann Arbor, Michigan or Columbus, Ohio for a game, I was able just to bring my laptop with me and work from the hotel during the day and then call the game at night. And so it was kind of the best of both worlds for me to be able to, be able to do my day job while also still getting to have, this fun side gig that I have, and didn't have to use all of my vacation days, to go to the different Big Ten cities. I'm not sure the missus would have loved that setup. So it's really been a great work-life balance for me, and also allow me to be a back part of the Purdue basketball program, which has been so fun.
All right. Well, those 3 boys are going to have a fun day with their celebrating Dad's birthday today. We appreciate your time as always. We appreciate your work, obviously, on the Purdue Radio Network. You and Rob do a great job. We enjoy listening to you and bringing that flavor of that passion. You've been there. You've seen it. You've seen Purdue basketball in challenging times early on in your career, and you saw the big turnaround and were part of that as well. That's a part of the story of Bobby Riddell at Purdue. So, hey, have a great birthday. Thanks again so much for your time. And we can't do this with you every year, but it won't be long till we do your 45th. But 1 year at a time, my friend. 1 day at a time is probably a good way to go anymore. So, have a great birthday, Bob. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for having me on.